Hello, this is Maestro Drake. You don't see my face very often. I'm not very photogenic, uh, like some people on their channels. So I wanted to kind of address what I'm going to be doing for the next, few months. I just turned 40. My birthday was May 31st. I was born in 78, and obviously I don't know what it's going to be like to be 40 and hereafter, but this has not been easy for me. It's not been easy for me to find purpose in jobs or find purpose in the things I do. I have plans for when things go south. I do have my own, and these are my plans, no matter what anybody in my family would say or what anybody, my friends would say. So, if I ever had any friends. So these are the things I'm going to be doing. Um, I'm going to still, as far as the content for my channel goes, I'm going to still put up Sonic the Hedgehog. I might put up some retro Sonic the Hedgehog, but I think mostly the new ones because I keep getting a lot of views for those. So don't, if it ain't broke, why fix it? So I won't be doing that. I will be continue to do that for as long as I can. If I'm not able to anymore, I'm not able to. I'm going to do the best I can. I was going to do a video post for the Brian Michael Bendis' Superman, but I didn't see the point to it. I didn't see the point to doing it. I just felt bored of it. And I liked Brian Michael Bendis' work on Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, and I liked the original Man of Steel miniseries, but this is not one of those things. What I'm going to be doing, as far as Sonic the Hedgehog, I'll be doing that once a month. And I'm going to be focusing on the 22 years of work. I started as an artist. I'll show you some of my work really quick. This is some of the work that I've done. I'll show you a couple of pieces here. These are all the important, protagonists and antagonists in all my stories. Uh, these are all characters that I've been writing for the last few months, actually the last 2 years. Okay. Uh, and I'll continue to write these until I'm done. I was working on a trilogy. I am still working on that trilogy. It's been taking fucking forever to get it all done. But I'll go into more depth. Here's some more art. This is art from, uh, I'll say 7 years ago, or maybe actually going back, yeah, probably 7 or 8 years ago. This is old art. Actually, I would say at least 8 years ago. This is old. So what I will be doing is I'll be focusing on the work I've been doing from 1995 onward. My family never really amounted to much outside of working hard and doing minimum wage work. When my dad started out, he was a mortician. Then he worked in a government job. Then he worked in companies like Hughes Aircraft and McDonnell Douglas. And as an inspector, he worked as a teacher's assistant for special ed kids. And not all special ed kids are like the actor from Life Goes On. Some of them are really, they're really fucked up in the head. So it was tough for him. He became an acting principal, but by the time he settled into that job, he was getting sick and he passed away. My mom worked dead-end jobs, first at McDonald's, then as a cook for a private school. Basically, she worked jobs that my sisters went to school at. So if one of my sisters went to a college, a 4-year college that I went to later on, my mom would work there. Then she'd work at the high school that my sisters went to. Then she'd work in another school, and another school. So I didn't have actors or debutantes or professionals or what's the word? Entrepreneurs. Nothing like that. I didn't have a successful, spoiled, rich lifestyle. So it was about finding my own voice. And what I do is I tell stories. I draw, I write, I compose music. if I compose any music, it's going to be on this thing. It's not much, is it? It's you know, it's just that's all it is. I can compose different little pieces. This doesn't play harmonies, just melodies. But I have a larger one, but that thing is fucking unreliable. I also have an ocarina if I need to use it. So I think it's over here. And I'll use that as well if I need to compose any more music. That's okay. So I tell stories. I've been telling stories, fictional stories, since 1995. I was about 17 years old. Okay. All my stories have one thing in common. It's about people who are grouped together who are not immediately commonplace. So let's say you took a juggalo, you took a Mexican gangbanger, you took a black gangbanger, you took a bank president, a Democrat, a Republican, a Nazi, a woman who likes better homes and gardens, a feminist, and you put them in the same room. What would you get? That's the joke. I don't know what the punchline is. But the stories are about figuring out the punchlines. I started out with the circus freaks, as I call about three people who became creatures. They were human, they became creatures. They became less than human. And one was a cholita, a very sexy cholita. One was sort of a Down syndrome-ish, slightly autistic guy, but he was immoral. And the other one was a brilliant scientist kind of guy, but he was not attractive and immoral as well. And I put them together. You put three uncommon people together in one common group, and then you make them get along. And that's loosely based on my family upbringing, because I just don't talk to my family. That's just the way it is. It's not, I don't say that to flip you off. I don't say that to be cruel. This is just, you don't pick your family members. You understand? You don't pick the people you get to be with. Ask Macaulay Culkin. I'm sure he would tell you, right? So these are the people in my life I had to deal with. So that reflected my writing, that reflected my art, that reflected my music. It reflected things that I wanted to do that was commonplace. So it is commonplace. There's nothing that you can say. You can say it's wrong. You can say that, I should write happy stuff. I tried showing some of my writing at creative writing groups, and they just shot me down, saying it was stupid or pointless. Or, oh, if you write it for you, oh, that's fine. That's like a white person telling a black man about interracial dating in a sci-fi story in 1955 that, well, Mr. Black Man, if you wrote this for you, that's nice. Good job. The thing is, maybe the black man's right. Or maybe it's a great rough draft. Maybe it needs some tweaking. Who knows? But you have to understand that creativity has to be natural. When you write something, when you draw something, when you compose music, that is nature to you. That is nature. Okay? When Ian Flynn writes Sonic the Hedgehog and Friends, he's got to base parts of his life in there. Okay? Happy moments, sad moments, whatever moments, they're in there. Okay? I have, what I put on my shelf? I put on my shelf like the things I like. The things that I like, my favorite DVDs, my favorite movies, my favorite books, according to what I think is the best ones. When people put their DVDs and comic books and books on a shelf, it's just randomly put up there, right? Or maybe they put it in alphabetical order, or maybe they put it from years chronologically. I put my stuff according to what is the best stuff and what is sort of okay and what's the worst. That's how I do it. So I try to write what is true, what is natural, and what I see natural in other people's work, I see it in my work. So 22 years, I shifted characters around. I met people in the real world. When I write my work, it's not based on ideal actor, Hollywood actor types of people. It is based on people I've met. And I try to change the names to protect the stupid and the innocent, or just the complete idiotic or egotistical people in my life. We live in a litigious society. Obviously, when you post something on YouTube, you have to be careful to not use somebody's names when you're talking about something they've done wrong, unless they're dead. That's how it works. So in everything I do, in the art I do, in the writing I do, this is something I will show you later. This is some work. Obviously, it's kind of backwards when I'm looking at this right now, but I'm sure maybe when you're watching this right now or later on, it looks correct. But this is some of the work I do. Okay. The work I'm focusing on now is Green Pueblo, which is the end of a trilogy. Most people's trilogies have a beginning, middle, ending. They go off the Star Wars trilogy. They go off the Lord of the Rings trilogies. There's actually the Hobbit trilogy and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They go off of the Godfather trilogy. They go off of any trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, etc. This trilogy that I'm finishing up is based on evil. The first book is evil and sin. The second one is gray, in between the two things, and the last one is good and kind and hope and love and all that stuff. So it's black, gray, and white. It's basically looking at both sides of the fence. The ideas of generation gaps, of technology, of cultures, of people and places and things, and dialect and dialogue and action. It's in here. What I'm going to be doing is, for the next 22 weeks, I'm going to be showing you here's the thing. I originally planned to do this one per year, but I may divide it down to different parts of those things I did per year. Like for tomorrow, I'm going to show you 1995. And all I'm going to really do is just show you the 3 or 4 drawings I made for 1995. And it's very simple. It's not very complex, but that I put down different ideas. When I create characters, they're people, places, and things that I like to see, or I have seen, or people I really want to meet. When Jerry Schuster and Joe Siegel created Superman, they created their ideal selves. Bob Kane created ideally Batman, along with Bill Finger, of course, because now we have to give Bill Finger credit because he helped write that. Okay, that's just the way it is. H.G. Peters and William Martin Molson for Wonder Woman, Gardner Fox, I think, for Green Lantern or Flash. I gotta look it up. Keith Giffen for Lobo. I may be forgetting some other writers who contributed to Lobo, but anyway, when I create these things, people, places, and things in my fictional stories, they are things based on what I want to see, what I think people want to see too, but mostly what I want to see. I'll tell you briefly that Green Pueblo deals with going onto an island and rebuilding on that island. And on that island, you're rebuilding law and order and government based on maybe what the United States was, but adding new things to it and trying to add new concepts and ideas. And I was going to make this 2 stories between Grim Planet and Gray Patriarchy, but because I saw an opportunity to do something at the end of the 3rd one, I did a 3rd story, and I was going to then the thing that I do at the end of this story is the reason why I decided to do a 3rd one. So that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is focus on the 1995 aspects of what I started. I'll tell you briefly, when I started drawing, my influences on my stories were from He-Man, Masters of the Universe, Silverhawks, Thundercats, Star Wars. Not so much Star Wars, but maybe the prequels. Um, let's see, Star Trek also. What else? Um, Garbage Pail Kids. If you ever collected the Garbage Pail Kids, those influenced me. I was always curious about the female anatomy. As I got older, I drew naked girls. As I like 13 or 14 years old, I try to draw, big tits and proportion and legs. At 12 or 13 or 14, you're going to have a boner at some point. Sigmund Freud would tell you this as he's doing cocaine or whatever he was doing back then. Um, so, you know, 12, 13 or 14, you're going to have a boner. You're going to get horny towards the opposite, you know, or the same guy, or men to men, boys to boys. It doesn't matter. But I've always been attracted to females. So as I got a little bit older, I drew superheroes and I drew my own characters. And that was around 1995, and that's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on showing you. So what I'm going to be doing is every week I'm going to show you literally my work, and I'm going to give you commentary, and that's it. These posts that I will be doing will not get a lot of views. Why? Because it's my own work, and it's not already established stuff. I could talk about Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy being, as far as that goes. I feel with Geeks and Gamers. I feel with Jeremy Johns. I feel with Ivan Ortega and Jesse Martinez. What's her name? I forget her last name. But anyway, there are a lot of people. I feel for those people too, because they, Kathleen Kennedy and Pablo Hidalgo and Ryan Johnson, and I think that's it. They've been trolling the fans, okay, to some degree. John Campea came out and said, well, how can she do this? Now, he's kind of flipping the script as far as Kathleen Kennedy is concerned. And I don't like Andy Gutierrez, but Andy Gutierrez gets a pardon because you kind of need that chick to relate to the lesser fans who don't watch behind the scenes stuff without flinching. So what that has to do with this is that it's about creativity. And when a corporation has an IP like Disney owning Marvel or Disney owning Star Wars, they're going to interpret it their way, or at the least they're going to interpret it within reason, as long as it doesn't, as long as it falls within a certain guideline. I don't know. Personally, I think that if Disney decided to let somebody else take charge of being president of Lucasfilm, and they go Knights of the Old Republic, they could, at worst, the content of those movies could be like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or Harry Potter. Okay, there are times where Warner Brothers or Universal or Paramount can be Disney. Okay, they can make some cute stuff. But when I do my work, I either do quote unquote Disney stuff, or I'll do some slight PG-13 stuff, or I can go really rated R or NC-17 and get really down in the dirt. It's like Ice Cube said on Conan one time. When Conan O'Brien asked Ice Cube, do you worry about the kinds of movies you do when you have kids? Because his kids were small. I think this was 2000, okay? And he said, you take the hard stuff, you take the soft stuff, you go with it. You just, some days you're going to do some dark stuff, and some days you do some light stuff. And that's what I'm doing with my work. So, the things I could do that could get me more views, other people are doing already. One of the reasons I'm getting a lot of views on my Sonic the Hedgehog stuff is because there aren't too many people caring about that. More people care about Star Wars and Marvel superheroes and DC superheroes. Those are the big three, okay? Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, okay? Everything else after that is Ninja Turtles. What else? Ninja Turtles, independent comics, Sonic the Hedgehog, or video game franchise. No, actually it would be like this. It would be Ninja Turtles, video game franchises, and then movies made by the directors. Okay, I was watching The Bourne Ultimatum again. Um, it kind of reflects my life in some ways. Not trusting certain people, always having to run away from certain things, and dealing with certain other things. That's kind of how my life is. Um, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So you'll see. I'm going to try to see if I can present it like a slideshow, and just talk along with it. Um, yeah, that's about it. So what you'll be seeing is work from 1995 to now. Uh, there were some times where I did not write some work, or I'll even include, I did a DC superhero fan fiction and I did a Marvel superhero fan fiction, and I will include that as part of my work, okay? Because it is stuff I did, and yeah, that's about it. So as I turn 40, as I am now 40, and as I go through my 40s, I wonder what more I could have done. As far as volunteer efforts, I seldom do those anymore. I'm not going to work at Quickie Mart. I'm not going to work at Jiffy Lube. I'm not going to work at McDonald's or wash windows or scrub floors or sweep sidewalks. That's not what I'm meant to do. I have no children. I have no wife. I don't need to do that. So, as I'm going to be saying from now on, uh, be kind, be cruel, however, but be yourself. And don't be what somebody else tells you what to be. And don't compromise your life for somebody else's views. So this is me signing out. Take care.